Have you ever taken a train journey along a coastal belt? Or even the interiors of a rain-fed state? Mark my words, the scene is breathtaking. Ever wondered how the forests are home to so many animals and birds? These forests are called as biodiversity hotspots. What do I mean by hotspots? These are areas that contain a wide variety of species of living things, but they are under a threat. What threat can these beautiful forests face? As you know, humans are the biggest threat to the forests. The various activities of deforestation, grazing, industrialization, and urbanization have reduced the forest cover. Reduced forest cover would lead to loss of many species. We have already studied in lower grades how life is interdependent. The food chain and food web need all its components. Even if one is affected by human activities, the ecological balance is disturbed. But why do humans need to encroach upon the territories of the plants and animals? Why are forests facing a threat from us? The answer is a simple four-letter word: need. And thus, forests face a threat. Humans are dependent on the forests. As we know, plants are the producers of food, and we are at the top of the food chain. We need the forests and its produce. Who all do you think are related to the forests? Who can we term as the stakeholders of the forests? Firstly, the people who live in the very forests are completely dependent on the forests. They need it for their living space, their food, clothing, and every other basic requirement. Who owns these forests? Surely the people who live there do not own the whole forest. The forest departments or the government owns the forest land. Once someone has the ownership, it is bound to be sold or rented out for profit. The industrialists use the forest for the raw materials needed for production of goods. And lastly, we have certain individuals and institutions that help protect the forest. They are called as the conservationists. Let us look at the stakeholders once again: the people who live, the government, industrialists, and the conservationists. But do all these damage the forests? Are all these stakeholders a threat? Of course not. The people who live, the government, and the conservationists do not harm the forests. Their use of the forest is sustainable. Let us see how this holds true in the case of the locals. Can a small group of forest dwellers use up all the wood for burning or cooking? Would the cattle eat up all the fodder of the forest in a short time? Seems hilarious, doesn't it? That's because this cannot be so. Villagers use the forest at a rate that is very slow. There is enough time for the fodder to grow back or new twigs to grow before the villagers use the same plot again. They use the forests for their survival. The forest department and the conservationists, on the other hand, only play a part in protecting the forests. They generally do not directly utilize any resources as such from these forests. Who then is a threat to the forests? The industrialists. They use the forest for revenue. This commercialization makes them inconsiderate towards the environment, thus leading to damaging activities. When the industrialists need wood for making a huge number of benches, they will use huge machines to cut down the trees. Once they have done so, the forest will take years to grow those back. Why do you think the industrialists don't care about this? Simple enough. They have many more forests to cut, and it's not their home, unlike the locals who have just the forest they live in. How do the locals help preserve the forest then? We will have a look at some interesting ways they employ in our next video.